Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. We're covering the Dutch defense still. This is the second video of the plan is for. And today we're talking about the classical Dutch defense. And the position that you will get after some moves looks like this. How did we get here? Well, we got here as follows. White plays the move d4. As we said, the Dutch defense is played against the move d4. And I suppose you can try and play it against c4 as well, because the positions transpose. We get the move f5. And what we're looking for today is the classical Dutch defense. And that is basically a similar kind of setup to what you would go with for the Leningrad, except you are not playing g6, bishop g7. After, g2, bishop g2, you're playing e6. And what you're doing is you're putting the bishop on e7. And now we're playing, d6. You could, of course, go for a stone wall, which is what we will cover tomorrow with d5. And then you get the bind on d5, e6, and f5. But we're going to play d6, short castles, short castles. This setup for white with knight to f3, knight to c6, knight to f3, knight to c3, bishop on g2, d4, c4. This is the best way for white to play. Anything else, you will have to take it as it comes. Remember, the Dutch defense is against this move e4. So if white can build up e4 and get it on the board, they will be quite happy. Also, their bishop at times might come out, but I always find this is the easiest way to get out of the pin because your plans from here. You can play like bishop d7. If you would like to try it, you'll have to calculate thoroughly. You can try for like a b6, bishop g7, but it's not encouraged. So if, for example, white plays the move knight to c3, the best move here, and this is one of your key plans, is to play queen e8. Queen e8, it's a lovely move. Why? Because your queen can go out this way, and you can begin an attack. That is why you play the Dutch defense, so you can attack. Even you put your knight on e4, you allow a capture, you play rook f6 and rook f6, rook h6 with the queen here, and then you checkmate. That is the plan. So, very silly example. If, for example, white plays rook e1, you play queen h5. They play, for example, random move here, a3. You play knight here. We get takes. Knight comes out to the edge of the board. You give up the bishop, and now look at the advantage. All of a sudden, you're winning. Your rook is open. Your queen is open. You've got attacking opportunities everywhere. Your bishop can be used in the style of the King's Indian if you haven't fianchettoed it. Completely winning. So, the Dutch defense, you can get a really quick counterattack. So queen e8 is a move to remember because you've pushed the f-pawn so it can go out on this diagonal. When the f-pawn's back here, queen e8 makes no sense. But now that you've played f5 or even f6 and other openings, the queen can go out this way. It serves no purpose reinforcing this diagonal. It's not going to go out this way. You put it on here. That's what you're doing in the Dutch. So, queen e8. Now in this position, white might play. They've got a few options. They've got like b3 to play bishop b2, and you can just play a5. You don't have to go straight into the kingside attack, particularly because what we did wasn't the best plan. Now they play bishop b2, and you can play a move like knight to a6. Get your knight out this way. Now it looks for key squares like that. They play rook to e1, and you just play queen g6, and now you're happy. You're chilling. You're getting your pieces in the game. And it's very, very nice. Of course, you don't have to play queen 8. You can play knight e4 immediately. Now, white's got two options here. The main move is queen c2. And then you just take the knight on c3. Queen takes c3. You might say, why would we give up that knight? Well, you play a5. You're keeping control. You remove the knight, which was guarding that square. You might say, but that's like such a waste. Because you just went here, traded for a knight that just went here. That seems like such a waste of tempi. It can be, but it's not that big of a thing because what's white got in the position? You play knight to c6. They can't push. They can't push the pawn. If they try, you just win. You play, like, for example, bishop f6 in this particular case. If the pawn was back on b3 and they played a different move, let's say they play rook e1, you just play knight c6 anyway, and then again they can't push because if they push, now it's not as winning. But bishop f6, you've always got this idea once your knight on f6 has moved, and now queen d2, and now, you play chess. You play chess from here. Chess is going to have to be played. At some point, the opening knowledge can only get you so far. So those are the two kind of major plans once you reach this position. Of course, there's some transpositions. The move order is not explicit that you have to do it this way, but the classical, I think, it's a much more solid way to play, because the kingside attack for white is not as potent because you haven't played the move g6. If you ever play the move g6, it's a big weakening of the dark squares, so you've put your bishop on e7, and it can sit still on this diagonal, but perhaps on f6. You still maintain the idea to play d5 and c5, should you want to create those pawn breaks, but you might just play c6 and then look for d5 and transition into a stonewall defense. But yeah, you can play knight c6 in the style of the King's Indian. If you've played the King's Indian before, or you've played like a Nimso Queen's Indian with the bishop out here and, often incorporating this move f5, the positions will feel very similar. White wasn't able to take the whole center with e4, so that option is still what they're kind of playing for, but they've got many, many ideas. So, queen e8, again, we go to this b3 idea, but they can also play rook e1. It's a serious move. I know I've been joking about it the whole day, but it's a move that they can play. So, two main options, rook e1 and b3. Those are their two main ideas. So if rook e1, just queen g6. All of a sudden, your queen's in the game. It does think white's better, but the engine evaluation is, bogus. Because now they play e4. The reason you play queen g6 is to discourage e4. But you just play f takes e4. Whenever they put it there, you take. Knight takes e4. And you might say, wait, hang on. I'm up a piece. Looks like I'm up a piece. Rook takes e4. And if you take the queen, if you take the rook, then knight to h4. Oops. And you might say, well, hang on. What's going on? Your queen is trapped. Queen's trapped. Crazy. In the center of the board. The best move apparently is queen c6. Bishop takes and knight takes. And you end up with two pieces for the queen. And apparently it's playable. I mean, I wouldn't do it. But, there's a trap there to avoid. Just knowing your opening theory there. Don't take the rook. Don't do this. Don't give up your queen. Just play, bishop f6, knight c6, e5 if you really want to, This is where you've got to go do your own study and find what fits your pattern. Knight c6 is the move most commonly played here in the Masters database. And now, there's like queen e2. There are obviously other moves. And then bishop f6. This pawn is defended by the bishop really, really nicely. We get bishop d2 now developing. And still e5 remains an idea. But you can play bishop d7. And now bishop c3. Now rook a e8. And you're fine. It's +1, but you're fine. Anyway, that's a lot of moves that we've covered. But this position is your classical Dutch defense. And you can see there's maneuvering and there's pawn breaks, but there still remains hidden attacking opportunities for you. White's main attacking opportunity is through the center. They bust in through the center, perhaps the queen comes out here. You've still played f5, so the light squares on your king are weak. But because you haven't played g6, king h8 is probably perfectly fine. And at some point you might want to play, g5, g4 if you launch a kingside attack. So king h8 might be necessary at some point. But yeah, that is the classical Dutch defense. Tomorrow we will be covering the Stonewall Dutch defense, which is the first one that I ever played. It was the first one I learned to play when I was trying to combat 1d4. Now I obviously play knight to f6 if you follow along. But I used to play the Stonewall Dutch and I did very, very well. It was a lovely opening. The Dutch defense, honestly, very underrated. It is a beautiful opening. So if you play it, I encourage you to play it at least once in your lifetime. Give the Dutch a go. And yeah, really, really fun. I hope you found the video useful. And, let me know in the comments down below. If you're going to play the Dutch defense, have you played the Dutch defense? Which variation of the Dutch defense do you play? Cheers.